Hello, welcome to Betfred's Football Show. Paul Parker is alongside me. Before we talk the Premier League, let's just talk the Champions League. And Parks, everyone thinks that Man City, after that 1-1 draw in a Bernabeu, are through to the final. Still work to be done, isn't there?
Oh, there's lots of work. I mean, maybe if we'd been up against any other team, I would have said yes. But because they're up against Real Madrid and their record in that is obviously second to none, you can't use their league form to judge them on that. They're specialists in this tournament. They know how to play it. They especially know how to go about getting something away from home as well. That's where they're really exceptional at. So it's definitely not written off. You could see the different styles, and I enjoyed the way Real Madrid played. We're used to seeing City, but there's a lot more in this game. It's not safe yet for City. No guarantees at all.
It's not safe, but 1-1 away from home is a very good result, though, isn't it?
Oh, it is. But if we was still in that process of away goals count, then yes, I would have to say I'll edge towards that, because that means that Real Madrid may have to open up more to get at some point to get themselves back into it. But Real Madrid don't have to. I think the emphasis now is on City to attack. They're at home. Their fans are going to demand in it because they're looking at an incredible season, and that just might leave them. And we saw with the goal they scored, there isn't many better teams in the counter-attack situation than them. They're incredible when they do counter-attack.
Man City 2-7 to qualify, Real Madrid 5-2. Let's turn our attention to the qualification for the Champions League and the battle to stay in the division. What a huge game at 12:30 Saturday. Leeds versus Newcastle. Leeds manager Sam Allardyce has won more Premier League matches against Newcastle United than any other side. 13 occasions. Can he make it 14? Leeds Newcastle 12:30 Saturday. It's massive, isn't it, for Leeds?
Yeah, but he was playing then against a 100% different Newcastle, and his teams were slightly different compared to Leeds as well. So that could change a little bit, that one for him. If that's where it's going off the back, if we're talking stats, then yeah. But I think that's going to change that. After what happened to them in their last game, Newcastle, where they maybe count themselves unlucky, but I think that Arsenal got what they deserved, and that's another game where you look at the Aston Villa game where they got beaten, but what they done when they got in that game, the Villa game, and I think what they do in the Arsenal game is they bounce back, and I just think they're going to bounce back at Ellen Road. I just don't think Leeds have got enough there. Yes, they've changed their goalkeeper, but he's no great shakes. He hasn't played a lot of football. That was his third game in 2 years, so I really cannot see Leeds getting through this one.
Leeds have got Newcastle at home, West Ham away. West Ham have got a big say in this relegation battle. You're presuming West Ham are safe now on 37 points. West Ham also go away to Leicester. So Leeds have got Newcastle, West Ham away, Spurs at home.
Yeah, so we're talking about West Ham. We look at West Ham's point of view is that if they get a result tonight, their next game is against Brentford, and then they've got to play. If they are playing Leeds, they're in a comfortable position. What is David Moyes going to do in that one? Because I think if we talk about that game as well, that's after the second leg as well.
Yeah.
Is he going to want to finish the season well, especially leading up to a maybe final, or if they haven't made it through, how well does he want to finish the season? And I'm sure they're not going to want to be embarrassed at the end of the season. So Leeds have got a difficult run-in. Really difficult having to go to West Ham at that given time.
So what's your prediction for Leeds Newcastle 12:30 Saturday?
I'm going to say Leeds may get a consolation. 3-1 Newcastle.
Newcastle have been good on the road this season as well. 8 Premier League away wins. So Paul Parker going for 3-1 Newcastle. And obviously Leeds would stay in the bottom 3 with that result. Let's move to the 3 o'clock kickoffs on Saturday. Aston Villa versus Spurs. Aston Villa have won each of their last 5 Premier League games at Villa Park. Tottenham without a win in their last 6 away league games. I suppose it's which Spurs are going to turn up.
Yeah, I mean, that's normally said, but we know majority of the time it's a poor Spurs that turns up away from home. There's been a poor Spurs that turn up at their own ground as well, and they've kind of just about got across the line in certain games. But when you look at Villa, And I have to go with Villa winning this game, just by what they've still got to aim for to try themselves. I'm sure that Emery wants European football, and he knows that 3 points is very, very important for them to guarantee European football. He doesn't know where yet, but he wants it because that's his strength. One of his great strengths is European football. So I think Tottenham is going to be another sad day for Tottenham.
And that'd be some turnaround by Emery, wasn't it? He took over when they were 16th and they're currently 8th at the moment.
It is, and for years and years, I mean, during my time and before that, people talked about man management. And I don't think anyone really took it seriously. You just got on with it. And yes, it was a case of getting on with it when I was playing because the club always come first. The club was always a winner. Now we're virtually into player power. Man management is really important to have turned those players around to give him what he's got. Not just by getting through, by actually winning convincingly in the football they're playing, tells you how good he is and maybe how poor those players had become under Steven Gerrard. So he should be commended, patted on the back, maybe even put in there in a toss-up to be manager of the year. But we know the Premier League winner always gets that anyway. But he's done incredible for someone who was underappreciated, but everyone knew in Europe that he's one of the top managers.
Spurs without a win in their last 6 away games, losing 2 in a row. They've conceded 35 away league goals this season, including 19 in their last 6 outings. Come on then, give us a score for Villa Spurs.
2-1 Villa.
2-1 Villa. Right, staying with 3 o'clock kickoffs. Chelsea versus Forest. Chelsea are winless in their last 5 home league games, losing both of their last 2. They haven't had a longer home run without winning in the Premier League since April 1995. I tell you what, Forest, Chelsea away, Arsenal at home, Palace away. That was a massive win on Monday night for Forest, wasn't it? Forest, obviously not being great away from home, but unlucky against Liverpool. Might fancy trying to get something at Chelsea, might they?
Yeah, they might do. I just think that's a little bit of... I just look at Liverpool and it doesn't surprise me that they could have got beat in that game, really, to be honest, the way it worked out. It could have been another embarrassment for them, but I've seen them Forest 4 times this season away from home, and they've been awful.
Yeah, I mean, lost the last 7 away games.
It's not just playing bad, it was just a lack of effort. That's the bit I couldn't understand. When I look at the manager, everything I see about him, I think to myself, why aren't those players just doing it for him? Just his manner, everything about him, why aren't you having to go for him? I can't see that changing. I cannot see Nottingham Forest going and winning that game. I just really don't believe it. They've got enough about them. Good win during the week, but Southampton were kind of in control of that game until Forest counter-attacked and scored that goal. And then Forest, then Southampton did it again, and they got, and they kind of got themselves back into it. They lost their way, and in certain ways you look at it, and that game could have gone either way. I still think Forest have got big problems because the manager just hasn't had a settled side all season.
Come on, and give us a score then for Chelsea Forest.
I think Chelsea are going to get 2 wins on the bounce, which is absolutely incredible when you talk about Chelsea. So I think Chelsea will win 2-0.
Chelsea to win 2-0. Right, Palace, Bournemouth. Crystal Palace have now won each of their last 4 games against Bournemouth.
I don't think that's going to change really. Roy, when he did come in, we could say now after now he's in, is that the games he had when he come in front of him were all winnable games, all winnable. But it's the manner in which he's gone and won them, which has really, I think, really opened people's eyes. The manner in which the team's gone, the way they've played, the way they've gone and dug in. And Bournemouth, they had this habit in the post-war, in the post-time of when he was manager Roy, that when they got their points, their 40 points, that was them over for the season. I think that's changed a bit now because the kind of players they've gotten now, Elise, Eze, and even Zaha, he's changed. He's captain now. He's wearing a captain's armband when I was there last time. So they've changed a bit, and I think they're going to win. I think they'll win. I do think they'll beat Bournemouth, even though I saw Bournemouth play excellent at White Hart Lane.
Well, Gary O'Neill's turned it right round, hasn't he?
He certainly has. But then following that game, they played at White Hart Lane. They played at home to West Ham and conceded 4. Yeah. So there's a reason why you're in a certain area of a league, isn't there?
Come on, then, give us a scoreline for Palace versus Bournemouth then.
Normally, I wouldn't say in Roy's time before, Palace never scored in the first half. never scored more than one goal at home, but I think they're going to win this one. I'm going to go 2-1.
2-1 to Palace. Right. Manchester United versus Wolves. First time since August, Man United have had an empty week to get ready for a Premier League game. So Ten Hag actually gave his players a couple of days off. Right then, they looked absolutely nailed on for top 4 about 3 weeks ago. They still should be nailed on. They're a point clear of Liverpool with a game in hand. But it's not been great the last 2 or 3 weeks in Manchester United, has it?
No, it hasn't. It hasn't been great. So, you look at it and Luke Shaw's gone on the back line with Lindelof, and they look well. They do play well together, but it's other areas that have been letting them down. The midfield hasn't been what it has been when with Fernandes, Eriksen's back, Casemiro's back, but I think they're kind of Casemiro's trying to get back in the habit of playing. Every time he makes a challenge, I think everyone's cringing. I don't know if he does that because he needs to get himself involved. Eriksen is still trying to get himself back into it. Fernandes is flying around, trying to get things going. You can see his frustration coming through, but I think that's in a positive way of late. But I think the weakness has been, which has been most of the season, is the front three. The front three are not delivering. They are consistently poor as a three, whoever's there. They don't create enough. And when they do get opportunities, at one point Rashford was scoring, now he's not scoring, and you're looking for your front three or front four, depending how you play, to score goals. Doesn't matter how your performances are, they're there to make and maybe score goals, and they're not doing it. Totally, inconsistent all season, the front three. So that's an area that really needs to be strengthened, that top three. As much as Marcus Rashford has been scoring goals, he doesn't do enough to make goals for others. He doesn't seem to mix in and join in enough play. When he does play, he loses the ball and he walks. He needs to add a little bit more and show a little bit more enthusiasm to want to play in a team, and good, bad or indifferent, get involved and help. And that was lacking on Sunday. I saw so many times, lost the ball and walked.
But rewind 3 weeks ago, you wouldn't have been saying about Rashford, would you? I mean, 19 league goals. No one scored 20 since Rooney in 2010.
I would have been, Mark, to be perfectly honest. So just watch. Yes, he was scoring goals, but was he still doing enough goals? People covers over cracks. People only see certain bits. They see stats, they see goals, and they forget the rest of it. And there's been some great goal scorers at United, as you know.
Yeah.
Van Nistelrooy used to work back and do his shift. Andy Cole did. Dwight York did. Mark Hughes 100% did. Great goal scorers. Great goal scorers. Maybe Sparky to a lesser side, but Sparky, when he didn't score goals, how many goals did he make? Through making bad balls into good balls. And so that, United teams have always worked hard, never had to carry a player regardless of scoring goals. And that's what they're having to carry too many players. Can
you put your finger on what's happened then? The drop points at Spurs when they're 2-0 up. The poor performance away at Brighton. All right, they probably should have got away with a point. And not the best performance on Sunday night against West Ham. Not De Gea's fault, obviously, made a mistake. But, the defeat is not De Gea's fault. Can you put a finger on what's happened in the last few games?
This just boils down to there's a lot of players there who have carried on these kind of inconsistencies or this consistent form under different managers.
So we need a rocket up there.
They've had 3-4 now. Some of them have been through 5 managers, I think, at Manchester United. 5 different managerial changes since Sir Alex retired. So, and they've gone back to where they were before. They just can't do it consistently enough. And this happened since the League Cup. If thinking about the League Cup, there were certain points you think Newcastle could have got back in. I think if Isak had been started that game against Manchester United, I think it could have been different because of his energy and pace. And they brought him on late, and he changed it a little bit for Newcastle. And he's been a revelation for Newcastle since. So United have tailed off, dropped their standards after that cup final, and the standards were that if you achieve, you should want to achieve again.
Come on then, prediction for Man United Wolves.
I think they're just about going to get over the line again because I think Wolves' season is over. Even listening to their manager when I heard him talking the other day, I think United will just about. They normally struggle against Wolves because it's always been difficult.
Yeah, United 10 goals in the last 9 against Wolves.
Yep, 2-0.
2-0 Manchester United. Right, Southampton, Fulham. 1 to 500 Southampton to go down. They need to win their remaining games and then hope that Everton don't pick up a point to have any chance of staying up. It's not going to happen. Southampton are down.
Fulham to win. Fulham are in that position now where they want to finish the season really, really well because they started it so well. Don't want to ruin it. I just think they're going to go there and win that game.
Give us a prediction.
Fulham to win. They'll score goals, Southampton. 2-1.
2-1 Fulham. Right, we move to Sunday, live on Sky. Everton versus Man City. Everton have won just one of their last 19 Premier League meetings with Man City. Man City have won their last 5 Premier League away games against Everton. Obviously, great win for Everton against Brighton on Monday night. Man City, a short price to win. We all think Man City are going to win the league. Fred's paid out on them already. How do you see Everton City? So Everton have got City at home, Wolves away, Bournemouth at home. You could argue, I know they've got Man City at home, but you could argue 2 very winnable games of the 3. You could argue, of all the bottom teams, Everton have got a slightly easier running.
I think they have, given that incredible performance at Brighton. I've never, when I sat, as soon as they scored that first goal, I just went to I kind of said to myself, "Oh, blimey, they've scored too early. It's too early. It's going to happen. Just enjoy the moment." And then when they scored the second, I thought, "Wow!" And to do what they've done, I mean, it could have been more. Yes, they could have scored Brighton, but it wasn't Brighton's day. It was night, I should say. It was Everton and everything they've done. They've never had that before. They haven't had that for 3 years at least. That kind of performance, that kind of scoring. Calvert-Lewin looked close to the player everyone talked about. Dwight McNeil, everyone talked about him when he was a young lad at Old Trafford, and then he's gone to Burnley and you saw his talent. And I saw somebody, I think to myself, what's he doing playing for Everton? He should be playing for a bigger club. So straight away, Sean Dyche has brought him out of his shell, got him back smiling. Because when he played under Frank, he wasn't smiling. He was just running for the sake of running. But I look at Everton and I look at this game, which is a great game for them to have, for the fans' point of view anyway, because the fans mostly couldn't believe themselves. They've mostly floated home from there when they expected to be whinging from the South Coast. I think that they're going to remember the game last season with a handball, Rodri with a handball last season, and they still, I mean, I think now we all know that any other referee would have given handball there against him. And they're going to turn this game for City leading up to it. It's going to be it's going to be same version, but in a different ground. They're going to drive into Goodison, and it's going to be murder on that bus. They're going to make it awful there. It's going to be so partisan there for those City players. But there's a small matter. What team is Pep going to put out? We all keep hearing about he's got a second team now.
You'll clearly be thinking about Wednesday night, won't he, when he picks his team?
I would say that if he was to not play one of those starting 11 and goes to his second 11, they don't cross the line at Goodison. They don't cross the line, in my opinion.
It was 1-1 at the Etihad. Come on and give us a prediction for Everton Man City. I get the impression you think Everton gets something. I
just got that feeling. I've got that feeling that they've got to look for a bonus. They've got to try, and if they can get a bonus, anything out of this game, the next 2 mentally will be a little bit easier for them. So, but I'm not going to. I've got to go City. Right. Still got to be a bit tough. I'm a bit weak.
You nearly. I
know. I nearly went.
I thought you were about to predict a draw. Right, what score then?
1-1.
Oh, he has got the draw. I've
got Everton to score first. 1-1.
Right, there we are. Everton Man City, 2:00 Sunday. I'm looking forward to that. Also 2:00 Sunday, Brentford versus West Ham. Of course, West Ham in that semi-final of the Europa Conference tonight against AZ Alkmaar. Brentford, West Ham. Look, West Ham on 37 points. That'll probably be enough now. Brentford away, Leeds at home, Leicester away. They're going to have a big say in the relegation battle.
I still think that most West Ham fans would like at least 38. 37's getting talked about too much. You never know what's going to happen down below. They're going to Brentford, which isn't easiest for anybody to go to after Europe. I've got a feeling that's going to be a draw. I'm going to look at another draw.
What score?
I'm going to go 1-1.
1-1. Right, 4:30 live on Sky. Arsenal versus Brighton. Brighton have won 3 of their last 4 away games against Arsenal in all competitions, including a 3-1 victory in this year's League Cup. Arsenal have won 5 of their last 6 league games at the Emirates. Arsenal-Brighton, 4:30 Sunday.
I've got to go for Brighton. Brighton to win that one just because of that result. I'm not going to say so much performance. Just
so you're going for both Man City and Arsenal to drop points this weekend?
Yeah, I'm just going just for that result, for them to lift themselves, and it's going to be easy for those players to lift themselves. One of the reasons is they're going to see their old mate Trossard, and they just want to pull it right because they play incredible football. It just never went right. Everything went right for Everton on the night. So I just think they're going to go there and get something at the Emirates.
What's the score?
I've been going that way. I'm gonna believe they're going to score. I'm going to go 3-2.
3-2 Brighton at the Emirates. Right, Monday night, Leicester versus Liverpool. Leicester have won their last 2 Premier League home games against Liverpool. Leicester's running is Liverpool at home, Newcastle away, West Ham at home.
Right, I've got to go for Leicester in this one because it's, there's other words I could use, but it's do or die. At this moment in time, it's definitely do or die. If they get beat by Liverpool and they go and get beat well as what they did in their last game, mentally, I don't think they can come back from that. I really don't think they can take 2 beatings, like on the bounce like that. Because what happened to them the other day was embarrassing at Fulham. So and their fans, even at half time, what they were shouting at them, they come out and they concede, too quickly after coming out the second half. Everything went wrong for them. I think they've got to get something back. So I'm going to go Leicester to win 2-1.
Leicester to win 2-1. That's Monday night, 8 o'clock. Right, very quickly, who goes down? Right, if we imagine Southampton, if we take that Southampton have gone, then West Ham are probably safe on 37, probably. It's 2 from 4 then. Leeds, Leicester, Everton, Forest. Which 2 from 4 do you think are going to join Southampton? Now, going on your predictions, you've predicted Leicester to win this weekend. They'd go out of the bottom 3. Everton to pick up a point.
Leeds and Forest. Leeds and Forest.
You think?
Yeah.
Southampton, Leeds and Forest. Think they're going to be the bottom 3 at go down?
Yeah.
Better check messages from Big Sam. It's phoning you. Look, it's going to be so tight. Look, it could happen that no one picks up another point at the bottom.
Yeah, that's the way
it is. That tight, isn't it?
Yeah, wouldn't surprise anybody, but it's still difficult. That's no guarantee, but I'm just looking at it and what's in front of teams and saying that if they've got anything about them, they will fight for everything now because no one wants to suffer that embarrassment of being... Because it is an embarrassment to talk about things and talk about relegation. It's not a nice thing to talk about.
Yeah.
And no one wants it as a player. I've had it as a player when I was a lot younger, but in the modern day, it's a horrible, must be a horrible thing to carry.
So Parks is predicting it be Southampton, Leeds and Forest. We know Burnley and Sheffield United are coming up. Who do you fancy in the playoffs out of Middlesbrough, Luton, Sunderland, Coventry? So Sunderland play Luton, Coventry play Middlesbrough.
Who do I fancy to come up?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Coventry. Just it seems like everything's going their way, and it's just the way that late run, and they are decent to watch. I've watched them a couple of times this season. Mark Robbins is there on that side of it, and just everything that Coventry have been through, I think as a club. And not only did they go down to the 3rd tier, the issues they've had with their grounds and where they've had to go and play at Northampton Town, everything. When they're playing, at one point they get themselves back in the ground, but they can't use the pitch. They can't use the pitch because the pitch, I don't know what it was in a terrible mess. They had to then go and play at Birmingham City. So they've been a club in a mess, and I just think their supporters and the football they play, and plus as well, I love their new kit. That blue kit is proper retro, by the way. Just from when I was a kid in the 80s. Just remember Tommy English and all them wearing that shirt.
Right, so Coventry. And finally, let's just go back talking about Man City. Obviously, as a former Manchester United player, you're probably a bit worried. Can they do the treble? Do you think we're going to do a treble?
They can do, and they're in a good position to go and do it. But both of them are hanging on. They're hanging on at the edge. But I don't think you can be in this position of doing a treble and not be on the edge. You can't. It's not comfortable. Otherwise, everyone would do it. You know. And
Well, that's why the treble's so difficult.
it is difficult. I mean, a double was difficult for a long, long period of time. But in the modern day, it's definitely a lot easier now in the modern day than what it was quite a few years ago. But the treble is still quite difficult. But that will, if the game carries on as it is, and I hope it doesn't, the monetary side of it, then the treble will become almost like a norm, like the double.
Well, Parks, thanks so much for your company. He's now going to probably get a call from Sam Allardyce and explain himself. Thanks for watching. See you next week.